Time for Nutnfancy's tabletop review of the excellent SR9 9mm pistol by Ruger. You saw me shooting this perhaps in my tactical clinic out in the high desert in the western U.S. I came away from that tactical shoot, and granted it was just a preliminary shoot consisting of about 100 rounds, but I came away very impressed with the SR9. Shoots accurately, it seems very reliable and durable, and has great ergonomics. I'm going to talk to all those points as I normally do when I go down my talking points for handguns. I talk about weight, firepower, durability, blah, 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 blah. We'll hit all that. But I'll tell you right now, it's a high value, very excellent choice if you're looking for a pistol. Full-size variety. They may come out with more compact SR9s as time goes on, but I'll tell you, I'm a big fan of the full-size version. Now, because even though I like this pistol, I'm not going to give it any breaks at all. It's still going to go head-to-head against my other standard, the Glock 17. And I really need to knock this review out because I got to get these guns back to their owners. Like I say on my channel page, a lot of the stuff that I review, I do not own. But I do have access through my professional contacts and friends, so once in a while I can get you a gun for review. Not always, just sometimes. Let's do our safety checks on this SR9 real quick. Magazine comes out. This does have a safety, so safety is going to come off. Fingers out of the trigger guard. That's a safe direction. Nothing in there. I already did it with a Glock, but let's just double check that Glock too. Mag out. And I usually like the trigger in the most rearward position. That way I know. Now, I'll talk about that here in a sec. Let's get going. Lots to cover. Man, if I could do this in one video, that would be like super awesome. No promises. How about the weight? How does the SR9 compare against the other standard? For many reasons, as I've talked about, the Glock 17. It compares very favorably, actually. This gun on the bottom, the SR9, with the magazine, weighs 27 ounces. That's pretty darn good. The Glock, by way of reference, 24.5. Actually, I think it's 25 ounces total weight with the magazine in. So, only 2 ounces different between these two excellent guns. Both of them are on the light side. Anytime I go over 30 ounces for a holster gun, full-size variety, I'm not digging it. It's not cool. Because like I will show you in future videos, like I've talked about in past videos, our loadout consists a lot more of just guns and ammo and holsters. We got all kinds of things we might be carrying with our system. And every ounce we can save without losing capability is a smart ounce. And therefore, both of these guns are outstanding in the weight department. They do well. So, it does lose out to the Glock by 2 ounces, but that's nominal compared to some other offerings like the Beretta M9/M92, Beretta Model 92 FS. Much heavier than the Glock 17. So, it loses only by a very small margin. Next one, firepower. This is where Ruger really got it right. And let me back up a little bit. The SR9 really probably could have never happened with Bill Ruger at the helm. And I love Bill Ruger. He was a great gun designer. He was a little bit crotchety. Not that I knew him personally, but just I knew of him and his ways. And Bill Ruger was very traditional, though. And I doubt that the SR9 would have ever been produced under his tutelage. He was not digging polymer frame guns so much and advanced designs like that. The people that are at the helm right now, and there's Bill Ruger, circa 1998. Sadly, he's passed on. He was an outstanding gun designer. Had a world of respect for him and his company. However, he was a traditionalist, and he probably would have not dug the SR9. Thankfully, the people who are at the helm of Ruger right now understand that they need to progress. That the only way their company is going to survive is if they come out with competing designs that can rack and stack well against designs like the Glock. Not that the Glock is a new design. It's been out like a long time. But they understand it, and they're using modern manufacturing techniques like CNC, polymer, frame, and such to create such a gun at the lowest possible price point without sacrificing quality, which I'm kind of jumping ahead in the talking points, but it's some good background you need to know. Also, Bill Ruger, in my opinion, this is just Nutnfancy's opinion, was kind of anti-tactical civilian. In other words, he really didn't dig arming civilians with high firepower weapons. That was evidenced, in my opinion, of how he managed his company, and it was his call how they managed what I call normal capacity magazines, not high capacity. They're normal capacity magazines for the Mini 14, the 20 and 30 rounder variety. Bill Ruger did not want to sell those and did not sell those to the civilian population. They were military and LE only. And let's see if I got a picture of the Mini 14. I had issues with that. I don't like it. Like I say on my channel page, I fully support the arming of a responsible and mature civilian individual, and I think they should have every option that the military and law enforcement do. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's a Mini 14 right there. I'll review that in a separate video. You'll dig that. Stay tuned. But that's a good example, for instance, of how Bill Ruger ran the company. Is they did not want to give those high normal capacity magazines to civilians. Also, in a letter I wrote Bill Ruger personally back in the 90s, I'll show that to you in the Mini 14 review. He wrote back, and actually there's two responses I received. The second response said they were actually thinking about making a blind magazine in the heavy-barreled Mini 14. And that's what you're seeing here, by the way, is a heavy-barreled, and that's their version. And the reason why they were thinking that in the 90s is they did not want to have it capable of receiving normal capacity magazines. So it could be used, I don't know, in a tactical role by a civilian. So I'm kind of deviating from the review, but that's an important background of just how Bill Ruger ran the company. He was excellent and did awesome support for the NRA, but he is very traditional, and I feel kind of anti-tactical. Bless his heart, though, he's moved on, and the benefit, perhaps, of that is now Ruger executives and whoever's in charge at Ruger knows what they're doing, and they're giving us weapons like these. And now this gets to our firepower talking point. Okay, and that's where I'm going with this, because the firepower in the SR9 is an incredible 17 rounds with a factory magazine. You know, would that have been possible with, I don't know, the old leadership? I don't know. I mean, granted, we have the P89, the P90, or the P95, and others that are, you know, 15 rounds plus. I understand that. But great job in the firepower department, especially for the thickness of the grip. Since it is a polymer framed gun, the SR9 is very slim in grip. Actually slimmer than the Glock 17. Now this one, the owner actually has some decal grip on the side, but you can see that is indeed slimmer than the Glock 17. We'll talk about that in ergonomics. So how's it stack in firepower? I would say excellent. Is it as good as a Glock? Pretty much. With a factory non-extended base plate version of a Glock magazine. I'm talking the 9mm version, because the normal version, if I'm not mistaken, holds 17 rounds, and it's 19 with an extended base plate on it. Versus 17, you're kind of stuck with that. There may be other magazines come out for the SR9, maybe by mec-gar, which is a very high quality manufacturer of magazines, and we can only hope that that will be the case. But I'll tell you what, honestly, 17 rounds, if you can't get the job done with 17 rounds, dudes, you suck. I mean, you really need to get better with what you're doing. So I'm going to call this one well, I can't call it a draw. I was going to, but again, the Ruger can take those extended magazines, also the Glock 18 magazines, which are 33 round 9mm, so the Glock does win still in firepower. That's if you go with an additional magazine, i.e. aftermarket variety. But kudos to the SR9 for going 17 rounds. For most folks, that will be more than enough. They will see no need to upgrade at all, and I think that they did perfectly in the firepower department. So I will say advantage Glock in the fire department. That's hilarious. Firepower department, but not by a huge margin. That takes us to durability and reliability. This is kind of a harder one to call for me, because SR9 is a new design. And that was, now this is a good time to speak about the recall. And I know a lot of viewers are going, oh wait, there's a recall on that gun. You know what? I don't really care. It was a new design. They may have spent some more time on it and got it absolutely right. The recall basically said it was guns manufactured between October 07 and April 2008 that if dropped in a certain fashion with their safeties off or in the fire position, the guns could discharge. And what they did is they added a safe action type mechanism to the pistol. Very similar to Glock. Look at that. Doesn't that look just like a Glock mechanism? May function. Let me cock the Glock here so you can see that the triggers are very similar because they have a little mini trigger on the face. Very Glock-like. Suspiciously Glock-like. But that's how they solved the AD problem, accidental discharge problem. And if your SR9 has this trigger face on it, you have a new one. Yours does not need to be sent to the factory. All you need to do is look for this little safety lever on the face of your trigger, and yours is modified. Okay? And that's what the recall is about. And I don't really care about it. I don't think it in any way detracts from all the other positive features of the SR9. The only thing I would say at this point, and I'm jumping ahead again like I always do, to simplicity, is that now this safety lever is pretty much superfluous. We don't need it. If we have this on the trigger face, we don't need that. And this kind of speaks to all the things that I said about the M92 Beretta, how we could accidentally sweep that on, and then we go to pull the trigger, and in our stress condition, we forget to sweep the safety off. So, but that's the design as it resulted after the modification from the recall. That's just the way it is. So, this does kind of still talk to durability and reliability. Now, like I said, this is going to be enough about the recall. Like I said, it's really hard to make a definitive call on the durability and reliability of such a new design. This is a new gun. It hasn't been around for like ever, like the Glock has been. And the Glock is like massively proven, like I've talked about in many videos. The SR9 is not, and only time will tell. What we really need is have a Chuck Taylor come along and start cranking thousands of rounds through an SR9 and just give us a report on what it does. There's no way Nutnfancy is going to do that. I can't even afford ammo as it is. So I can't do that. However, look to some other, maybe some gun mags or somebody will do that. My sneaking suspicion on the SR9 is it will prove to be extremely durable. I really believe that. I just feel that the gun is very well made. I think they did their homework. Granted, they had a little problem with the trigger or whatever, the recall. But I think overall it's a very well thought out design, and it's very strong. Ruger, by the way, as you know, people who own Ruger firearms are just strong firearms. They're extremely strong. And you can't fault them in that department at all. The SR9, I don't think, will deviate from that Ruger formula at all. Now, can it stand up against the Glock in terms of durability? Who knows? It just might. It just might. And I'm not going to call this one because I don't have enough data on the SR9. Reliability indications are excellent. It seems like it's a very reliable gun. No, I haven't cranked hundreds of hollow point rounds through this particular SR9, nor can I. Just don't have the money for that, guys. However, all indications, my professional contacts, the research that I've done on it, indicate the SR9 will have no problem whatsoever in the reliability department. And my shooting in the tactical clinic seems to bear that out. So, durability and reliability, how can I call this? I will say advantage Glock. I have to, because Glock is proven over a span of many years, and it's going to be hard for the SR9 to beat that. However, the SR9 looks like it has upward vector for that, and it just looks outstanding in all regards. Guess what? I got to do a part 2. That's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Tune in part 2, Nutnfancy's review and head-to-head comparison against the outstanding Glock 17. We'll pick it up in accuracy in part 2. Thanks.